26th November 2008. The world was at a standstill. The world was mute. Mumbai, the city that never sleeps, was now quiet. Shops were closed, roads were deserted, and families wallowed in desperation, in fear, and in hopelessness, whether their life was all but momentary. Over the next few hours, one cannot forget the images of the Taj Hotel burning. One cannot forget the images of the Oberoi Trident burning. One cannot forget the gunshots spread all across Leopold Cafe. One cannot forget the horrid images of Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminal. One cannot forget the blood, the tears of victims who died an undeserved death, all because of the terrorists of Lashkar-e-Taiba, whose sole intention was to drive in each and every Indian's heart the emotion of fear, strife, desperation and hopelessness, which they ultimately were held accountable for, and their intention was a failure. Over the next few hours, they raided multiple locations, multiple prime locations across Mumbai. The Leopold Cafe, the Chhatrapati Shivaji Terminus, the iconic hallmarks and history of Mumbai, the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel and the Oberoi Trident. They raided the Nariman House and St. Xavier's College. And while India and the world stood paused, a 7-hour flight from Manesar had just landed, carrying commandos of the 51 Special Action Group belonging to the National Security Guard. Given just 30 minutes in preparation, they conducted standard operating procedures, conducting air reconnaissance and ground reconnaissance. During these two reconnaissance, they were able to identify two specific pieces of information which proved to be crucial in later ground execution of the operation as well. They identified that the fires which now lay all across the internet to show the horrors were just an act of deception, an act of deceiving, an act, a conspiracy to drive the NSG commandos into a lost cause. In anticipation that the NSG commandos would just go searching across the fires while the terrorists hold up in the grandeur rooms, the Oberoi. They were also able to identify a second factor, an important pivotal factor, which was that the media was for the people and though unintentionally was providing information to the terrorists. The terrorists used the media broadcasts which highlighted the position of certain commandos, of certain officers, as a way to develop and structure possible ways of defense. The NSG commandos were quick to identify that and immediately cut any form of broadcast which was being spread to the hotel. Also ensured that during the ground operation they had a few major objectives. The primary objective was to ensure that all terrorists were neutralized and to ensure that they may or may not capture a few. They also made sure that they would try to rescue and keep the hostages lost at a bare minimum and rescue as much as possible. Their final one was to ensure that once the operation terminated, was to ensure that there was no form of any possible threat laying, either in the form of an explosive or a weapon. The operation commenced. Over the next few hours, as Indians bit their nails in anticipation and in fear, as the lives of 800 hostages now lay all in the hands of these elite commandos. Operation Black Tornado was a unique one in the sense that the commandos had to develop and improvise on the spot as they raided across the gilded halls which carried prized possessions from various parts of the world, symbolizing various timelines of history. The commandos had to improvise and develop. They had to encounter and anticipate the possibility of encountering any other hostage who would possibly be running away and fleeing from these terrorists. They had to ensure that they were facilitated and treated in such a way that they were not a liability or a hindrance to the operation. The operation also did not mark just the successful raids at the Oberoi Trident and the Taj Hotel. The operation also included the air raid at the Nariman House, which housed 60 hostages from different Jewish families. The operation was a unique one in the sense that they had to encounter multiple barriers, multiple closed doors. And to further the risks, one could not predict what lay behind these closed doors. A terrorist, a hostage, or a hostage and a terrorist. Added to the risks were the factors that the NSG commandos had decided themselves not to use any form of tear gas to prevent or to ensure that no child or adult could gain any respiratory complications due to their asthma. Over the next few hours, as the operation continued, they were able to rescue a record 250 hostages from the override tragedy, 300 from the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel, and 60 hostages from the Nariman House. They were also able to capture one terrorist, the famous Ajmal Kasab. But as we praise Operation Black Tornado for its great success and the number of hostages, one should not forget that the losses were incurred as well. One should not forget the sacrifices and the martyrs who gave their lives to protect hostages, to protect fellow countrymen, and to protect the sovereignty of Mother India. One cannot forget Major Sandeep Unni Krishnan, who laid his life for the sake of our country. One cannot forget the NSC Commando Havaldar Gajendra Singh Bisht, who gave his life yet again for our country. And though not part of the Operation Black Tornado, we should also honor the other martyrs who gave their lives, as their operation and their sacrifices helped us kill 40 terrorists and capture one Assistant Police Sub-Inspector Tukaram Omble, who succeeded in capturing a terrorist with his bare hands. The Joint Commissioner of Police Hemant Karkare, the Chief of Mumbai Anti-Terrorism Squad, the Additional Commissioner of Police Ashok Kamte, the Encounter Specialist Senior Inspector Vijay Salskar, and the Senior Inspector Shashank Shinde. Operation Black Tornado was celebrated ultimately as a grand success, for it demonstrated and highlighted to the globe the strength of a roaring tiger, of a growing tiger, and whoever traversed on her hunting grounds would be mauled into pieces. It gave a befitting reply and an answer that anyone who trample on her sovereignty, Mother India would respond likewise. This roaring tiger ensured that its sovereignty was protected, and its name was now, its operations were hailed for Kingdom Come. This is Divit Narendra. Thank you. Jai Hind.